Hello and welcome to the news at 7. Tonight, a BBC investigation reveals the scale of Scotland's pothole problems. Councils have paid out more than £2 million in compensation to drivers over the last 5 years. Also tonight, we learn about a new approach to children's mental health. And a woman crushed by cows in the Highlands tells her story. And Lewis will be here with all of the weekend's sport.
I'll be live with the sport here at Celtic Park on the eve of the title showdown in the Scottish Premiership between Celtic and Hearts.
And later, one of Scotland's top cyclists speaks to us ahead of this weekend's massive gravel cycling event in Galloway. I'm Graham Stewart. Welcome to the News at 7. If it feels like you're constantly swerving around potholes, well, you are not alone. A BBC investigation has found Scottish councils have paid out more than £2 million in compensation to drivers over the past 5 years. But out of thousands of claims, most are still being rejected. And plenty of motorists say they're fed up of dodging craters in the road and paying the price when they can't. This pothole in Aberdeenshire left one woman with a repair bill of more than £200. She managed to claim back most of that money from the council, but says the state of the roads are still a real problem.
It was sort of like on a bend, and there was a lorry coming the opposite way, so I had no choice but to go through it, over it. So it was a bit scary. Every time you go on the road, you've got to really watch where you're going because there's so many.
This is the kind of thing we're seeing on a regular basis. These are two springs for a car completely sheared.
We've seen a significant increase in our customers requiring repairs to their wheels, tyres, wheel alignment, suspension components needing replaced. And these components aren't needing replaced for any other reason other than due to the road conditions.
Well, COSLA, which represents local authorities, says intense pressure on funding is impacting road maintenance, and the Scottish Government says it's up to councils to allocate funding. Earlier, I spoke to Tony Rich from the AA. He told me it's a problem right up and down the country.
96% of our members that we've surveyed have said it's their #1 priority for the government to get right. Pothole damage can range from just a bumpy, distraction when you're driving, to damage to your tyre, to damage to your suspension, and then damage to sort of safety systems on your vehicle. It's a good thing that vehicles are advancing with technology, but the more technology on a vehicle, the more expensive it is to repair. So yeah, it's a major problem, it's a major inconvenience, and indeed a road safety risk as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the danger of it, but also pretty frightening when you go over one of these big crater-like holes in the middle of the road.
Oh, it is a frightening experience, and even for an experienced driver, if you're driving through a puddle or whatever, you can't go around the puddle because there's oncoming traffic. You drive through a puddle. If there's a pothole in there that you can't see, yeah, it certainly livens the senses. And also, for cyclists and motorcyclists, that it's increased danger for them too, because if they hit a pothole and they come off the bike or their motorcycle, then it puts them sort of at the mercy of whoever's travelling behind them or towards them.
When you look at all the money that these councils are paying out in compensation, you might be forgiven for thinking, would it not be easier just to fix the holes in the first place? But are we at the stage where actually sometimes it's cheaper for them just to settle a few claims?
In comparison with what it would cost, probably is cheaper to pay the claims. But what the claims might not cover is where people have to take a day off work or a couple of days off work, because garages are busy. So it's not just the cost of the repair, it's the knock-on effects. And also, when you've got tradespeople who rely on their vehicles to get to their customers, it's affecting their business. If they hit a pothole, not only is it inconveniencing them, it's inconveniencing the customer that they're going to also.
How difficult is it to make a successful claim?
You can help yourself, really, if you're making a claim against a local authority by getting as much information as you can. If you don't have this information, then it can be a lot of back and to, and it can be quite difficult. So really you need the location, obviously, of where the pothole is. You need the date and the time when it happened, and you'll need a quote from your garage or an invoice if you've already just had to have the work done. Obviously, lots of roads have lots of potholes, and you want to make sure that you're claiming for the right one. So you can use an app called What 3 Words or a similar app to that. And that will give you the exact location, and you can pass all this information on to your council, and then it helps them to narrow down the actual pothole in question, and then they can then judge your claim on that.
Tony Rich from the AA, thank you. Now, it's been a Scottish Premiership season like no other. Hearts, of course, within touching distance of something Scottish football hasn't seen in over 40 years. A team other than Rangers and Celtic being crowned champions. Well, they'll play at Celtic Park tomorrow. Precautions are already being taken in Glasgow city centre in case of antisocial behaviour after the match. That's included removing the glass from some bus shelters. Police have criticised Celtic for not putting plans in place for an official title party, if indeed they retain the title. Meanwhile, the referee who awarded Celtic a late penalty on Wednesday and his family, well, they're now under police protection. As sports writer Henry Winter told me, tomorrow's match has garnered attention from all over the world.
You couldn't have scripted this any better with Heart of Midlothian, who are trying to be the disruptors of Scottish football, having to go to Celtic Park. And what an extraordinary night it was. The other night, 1 minute they were going to be champions. The next minute, it looks like they were going to Celtic Park with the needing only to avoid a 3-0 defeat to Celtic. And now they've got to make sure that Celtic don't win. So absolutely, you can understand why I'm sure you've been inundated with interest from around the world.
Yeah, it's not often that Scottish football makes headlines across the world. I mean, what is it specifically about this title race do you think that's caught people's imaginations?
Well, I think everyone knows the dominance of the old firm going back to '85 and Alex Ferguson and Aberdeen. And everyone's looking at Heart of Midlothian, this sort of famous old Edinburgh club, 1874, I think they were founded. Hearts, we consider this sort of old classic club, but actually it's at the cutting edge of this new technology, these new data analysts who are providing all this extraordinary data and information, and ultimately great recruitment. I think from a sort of dramatic human element, this collision of cold, hard data in Jamestown Analytics, and also the character like Derek McInnes, who obviously we know from down south at Bristol City and West Brom. You look at him in the dugout, and he's a very sort of human, emotional individual. I mean, you saw his reaction to the Celtic penalty. I think he described it as disgusting. So, if you're a Hollywood scriptwriter, to have the new and the old, the human and the analytic, is a fascinating combination.
Do you think that Hearts can do this, given how strong Celtic are, the fact that it's being played at Celtic Park, the travelling support, the Hearts support is going to be relatively small? Can they do it?
Well, they may be small in number, but they're big in hearts. No pun intended. I think it's 800 of them going to that magnificent stadium, Celtic Park, which contains, sort of 60,000 in there. So, look, it'll be absolutely deafening. I mean, Celtic Park is an extraordinary place, and the noise, the atmosphere, the intensity, the support for Martin O'Neill and his players, this desire to will them over the line. But also those players, they know that they are standing on the cusp of history. Lawrence Shanklin will know exactly what this means. All those players will know what it means, whether they come from Edinburgh, whether they come from wherever in the world. They will know what they've done. You saw the scenes at Tynecastle the other night when everyone was singing that extraordinary song. There is a band of brothers element to it. And I think a lot of people will be wishing Heart of Midlothian good luck.
It's going to be a huge day. Henry, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
OK, let's get a roundup of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland. And Scotland's top law officer is stepping down after 5 years as head of the country's prosecution service. Dorothy Bain Casey is also the chief legal advisor to the Scottish Government. A taxi driver who raped an 18-year-old female passenger in a lay-by before leaving her in sub-zero temperatures has been jailed for 6 years and 9 months. And a man who admitted being part of a machete attack on a crime boss associate during a gangland feud in Edinburgh has been jailed for 5 years. Well, for more information on all these stories, you can scan the QR code right there, and that will take you to the BBC Scotland news website. Now, experienced hill walker Mary Jane Parker from Peebles has climbed 127 Munros. But in August last year, she was badly injured by cattle who crushed and dragged her along a remote track near Newtonmore in the Highlands. She was taken to hospital in Aberdeen by Scotland's charity Air Ambulance with multiple broken bones, chest and lung injuries and a major leg trauma. Well, now she's met the Air Ambulance crew who were dispatched to rescue her. Captain Peter Wynne and lead paramedic Claire Allen. Here is Mary Jane's story.
I love being in nature. There's just something really soothing for the soul for me. I've encountered livestock before. I'm always wary of them. So my plan for the day was to do a horseshoe-shaped walk and climb 3 of the Mauna Lea Munros, Mauna Lea Mountains. And it's a recognised hiking route. I wasn't in a farmer's field. It was as I turned the corner of the track to the right that I saw the cows for the first time. They were really spread out. Within seconds, I was encircled by them. Well, I actually thought, this is the end of my life. The cow that started to charge towards me and another one that was behind me sandwiched me in between their sides. My feet were off the ground. I remember being dragged along the track, and then I remember one of the cows kicking me and I went up in the air. I saw all this blood and I noticed the big wound on my leg. The helicopter arrived when I was in the back of the road ambulance. So I remember hearing it arriving, and then the air ambulance crew took over from there. I owe so much to those people, to the service, of course.
Hello. Hello. I told myself not to cry. Hello.
The human touch that they had was, I'm sure, way beyond the remit of their actual job descriptions.
A lot better than when you saw me anyway, that's for sure.
It's lovely to be able to show you around the helicopter there and have you here, because it's not often we get patients coming back, so it's nice to complete the circle.
Thank you.
Without the professionalism and the humanity of the staff of Scotland's Charity Air Ambulance, I think I would have been in a much worse state.
Every part of your body had some form of graze, bruise, cut.
Every part.
Every limb, everywhere.
The human touch was just palpable to me on that, probably the worst day of my life.
Well, if you want to hear more stories like Mary Jane's, why don't you check out our new series? It's called It Happened to Me, and it's available now on iPlayer. Now, children can often wait years before receiving treatment for mental health conditions. So could the solution lie within our own communities? It Takes a Village is the name of a new trial being led by Glasgow University, which focuses on prevention and early identification. Researchers say we could all potentially play a part in improving children's mental health. Professor Helen Minnis has been telling me all about the project.
Well, it's new to Britain. It's been used in countries like India and Uganda before, but what's new about it is it really is a community approach. It really is about it takes a village. So our idea is to train non-mental health trained professionals, and they could be school nurses, they could be health visitors and lay people.
So this, in a way, is almost like an old-fashioned idea, isn't it? It's like going back, 50 years when people looked out for each other in the community.
In a sense, the difference and the exciting difference is that all of those people who will in some ways join the mental health workforce will be supervised and trained by experts. So that's the really exciting thing. And that's worked extremely well in Uganda and India, where they've actually trained up non-mental health trained practitioners and lay people to do really excellent assessments and treatments, and it's worked. And I think there's something about bringing it closer to home so that people might actually get treatment, but treatment under expert supervision, but by someone that is a bit like you and who maybe has the same accent and that kind of thing.
So if this was rolled out quite widely, there's a role potentially for all of us in this, because I think most people would think that they're not equipped to deal with people's mental health.
I think that's such a good point, and we call it the missing middle. So there's great care from primary care, from general practitioners. There's fantastic care from expert clinicians in child and adolescent mental health services, but they are there to treat children and young people with complex mental health problems. We have a gap in the middle, and there's lots of people trying to help. So teachers are doing an amazing job, parents, grandparents, third sector, but often feeling that they would really like expert support. So it's really just trying to bring those elements together and help those people who are trying to help to feel confident in doing so.
Without making it sound too basic, is it essentially, in some cases, just a matter of people having somebody to speak to?
Well, I think that's a big element of it, but it's more than that. So there's a fascinating project that's been done in Zimbabwe. It's a little bit like what we're doing, except it's with adults. And what they've done is they've had this thing called grannies benches, where they actually have older women sitting outside the mental health facility, chatting to people ready to go in, but they're actually trained in therapeutic techniques. If you had a child with asthma, you wouldn't always expect a child with a mild asthma attack to go to the respiratory specialist. So it's also about really, I suppose, creating appropriate interventions for the young people who need them early, so that fewer children are translating into those children with complex needs.
And this project, this trial, is taking place in Scotland and in England, and when will we know the results?
Oof, it's going to take 5 years to have the final results about whether this task sharing framework, as we're calling it, has worked. But along the way, we're going to learn a lot.
Well, best of luck with the project, Professor Helen Minnis. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Still to come, we have the weather with Gillian and the Lycra invasion that brings a huge boost to a Scottish town. But first, it's the sport with Lewis Hapley, not in Lycra tonight, but with a big story for us.
Yes, Graham, what a weekend we have in store here. Good evening. After a season of twists, turns and surprises, it all comes down to just one game. And Hearts know that if they can avoid defeat here at Celtic Park tomorrow lunchtime, they will do something that no team has done in over 40 years, prize a league trophy away from the Old Firm. Now, we've all seen that penalty incident so many times by now that gave Celtic victory over Motherwell and Martin O'Neill's side a fighting chance of retaining their crown. But as Derek McInnes's Hearts side leave Gorgie for Glasgow, their head coach is keen to admit that that's in the past and he's focusing on the positives.
It's a perfect ending to a season, you know, for the league, Scottish football, you know, for drama and excitement. You know, it's pure box office. You know, it's been a long time, I think, since both teams who could win the title go head to head. Fair play to them, you know, fair play to our boys for making this the situation that it's there now, and it's important now that we have that one big performance in us to try and get over the line and get the title won. We have to go there with courage, we have to go there with belief and be bullish with our work. And there has to be that sense of it's all about the detail in the game and playing well, because everything else it entails, it'll be bedlam, it'll be an unbelievable atmosphere. It'll be different to the norm. Obviously, we've won there early in the season, but that was when Celtic Park was a bit conflicted with itself, and you know, it was a bit easier in that sense. Regardless of what happens, with the records broken and internally as a club and what we've done this season, I think they'll always be regarded as a special team. But obviously, if we want to elevate that, it'd be nice to, as I say, we have to go and win it.
Well, it's been a rollercoaster season for the current champions. Poor results on and off the pitch under Brendan Rodgers and Wilfred Nancy ultimately led to fan protests at how the club is run. But the return of Martin O'Neill for a second time this season has brought them within 90 minutes of retaining their crown, despite that turmoil. They're on a 6-game winning streak, so can they do it? I spoke to a couple of former Parkhead players at a charity golf event this afternoon ahead of the Saturday showdown.
Well, it evens itself out. Hearts, I don't think Hearts will come looking for a draw. I don't think there's any way to do that for that amount of time. I think looking about 70 minutes, you'll be then, depending on the result, you can then begin to start to hang on to something if you think you can. Hearts are brilliant defensively. I think defensively they've been the best team in the league this year at times. So they will go for the game. There's no advantage. Celtic are at home. It's a great advantage for Celtic to have that home crowd. But Hearts also have got 2 results that go in their favour. So, listen, it's amazing. I'll be there. I don't know how I'm going to watch it. Probably 1 or 2 pints beforehand to settle the nerves.
I think they're not happy with it, and I think the pressure is on them to perform like they've done before to get a result. I think the pressure is on them. Celtic has done really well, so the last periods. And it's at home. You've got home advantage. You have to win. You can win. Just, if I look back at the games they played against Hearts, Hearts play well, but there's certain things that maybe, they weren't as sharp. But it's like a final, right? It's like playing a tournament. Last game, you're gonna win it. Everything's out of the window. It's on that day. So both teams will be ready. But I think Celtic has the quality and has got the experience.
So while all the focus will be on the title showdown tomorrow, tonight it is about teams that are desperate to get into the Premiership themselves. The playoff semi-final second leg between Partick Thistle and Dunfermline Athletic is right here on the BBC Scotland channel after us, so you can watch it. And yes, it is fairly quiet here just now, Graham, no fans, but I can tell you one thing you might not be able to see. Plenty midges here. I'm being eaten alive. Back to you.
Right, do make sure you protect yourself, Lewis. Thanks so much indeed. Now, one of Europe's largest gravel cycling events takes place this weekend in Galloway's Gatehouse of Fleet. 3,000 cyclists from 47 countries are expected at the Gralach, with an estimated £2 million economic boost set to benefit the entire region. Well, former pro racing cyclist Jimmy McCallum has previously competed in the event, and he caught up with me a little bit earlier.
The actual event is part of the UCI Gravel Series, so it's an international series where everyday people can have an opportunity to take part in a World Championship. So it covers a huge base from elite all the way through to grassroots, and ultimately it's a big festival, 2 or 3 days down here at Gatehouse of Fleet to promote cycling, and more importantly gravel cycling, which has been probably the biggest and quickest up and coming discipline right now in the sport of cycling.
And tell me, from your experience, what is it like to compete in this event?
This is as close as you're going to get to being in Europe at a big cycling event. I remember coming here 4 years ago for the first event, and I was absolutely starstruck by the level of the event, the riders that were attracted to be part of it, and just the whole way that the local community and the surrounding areas have absolutely embraced this event. It brings in so much to this event. Literally every bed and breakfast and campsite and restaurant is sold out over this weekend, and with that brings roughly £2 million of direct impact locally. So it's a huge event, not just as cyclists, but also for the local communities and businesses as well.
What do you think those competing can expect? What is the route like?
This is a tough route. This is probably one of the harder events on the UCI calendar when it comes to gravel racing. We've got riders from all over the world, Canadians, we've got world champions, we've got national champions. In fact, Sir Bradley Wiggins is here this weekend as well, did a lot of promotional work as well. But we've got so many athletes here from across the board that the actual event itself, it's 111 kilometres. So it's a big day in the forest. And that's only just one of the events. We've also got a 320 kilometre ultra event for the first time this weekend. So that's a little taster event for people who are interested in that long distance kind of side of cycling as well. So it's covering a lot of bases here as well. It's having a lot of local community activations. Today we had some of the professional riders help out in the local school bike bus to school. And it was really, really cool to see, winners of big international races such as Paris-Roubaix, which are big races on the international calendar on the road, coming here and being part of that local community here in Gatehouse of Fleet.
It sounds like you're trying to inspire people to get involved then.
Yeah, I would say this event as a national event is one of the events that actually inspires people to get get cycling in the winter and push themselves and get fit for this weekend, because it has become one of the biggest and most important standout events in the UK. This is the only opportunity you've got right now in the UK to qualify for a European or a World Championship. So the amount of people who gravitate to this race over the last 2 or 3 years has become huge. As I say, over 3,000 participants over this weekend. So it's certainly got the gravity for that level of event to bring in those numbers, but also give people the opportunity to take part in something which is, the top level and top tier of event.
James McCallum there, head of the Gralach in Galloway this weekend. So, Gillian, we've got that in the south of Scotland. We've got a big football match in Glasgow tomorrow. How is it looking?
Big weekend. Well, tomorrow's looking like the drier day of the weekend, Graham, but still on the cool side, as it has been for much of May. And then for Sunday, a wee bit warmer, but it's looking unsettled, some thundery downpours. And today was a bit mixed. We had some lovely sunny spells to start, especially, but through the day we've seen cloud steadily building, and we've seen some showers as well, including some heavy ones, even some hail in the mix once again. As we head over the weekend into tomorrow, we'll start largely dry, but we do have a weather system approaching. That's going to bring some rain later in the day and overnight. And as we head into Sunday, it's looking pretty unsettled. Low pressure is in charge. We'll have some heavy, potentially thundery downpours, and it's staying unsettled into next week. But it is warming up. This is how we'll start tomorrow. Certainly not warm, downright chilly. Temperatures low single figures to start, but it's largely dry. Some good sunny spells for many of us. Still an occluded front bringing some cloud and patchy rain to the Northern Isles. Still quite a brisk northwesterly breeze here too, but otherwise winds will be light as we start the day. And that nagging northerly breeze that's been with us is cut off. So it is a milder feel to things. The winds moving more into the southwest. But through the day we'll see thickening cloud bringing some patchy rain into Dumfries and Galloway, Ayrshire, the Glasgow area, parts of Argyll and the Western Isles later in the afternoon. And temperatures still a wee bit disappointing, about 10 to 13 Celsius for most of us. Now that rain linked to a weather front which tomorrow evening and night works its way across the country, so bringing spells of rain that turn more showery as we start the day on Sunday. But Sunday's looking pretty unsettled. Lots of cloud, frequent showers, some of them heavy, could be some hail and thunder in the mix as well. Quite brisk southwesterly winds at times, but it is a milder air direction, so it means that temperatures slightly up on where they have been, 11 to 14 Celsius for many of us. We head into next week, and this is Monday. We start with a little ridge of high pressure in charge, so it's a dry start, could be some mist first thing, otherwise some sunshine, but as the day goes on, you can see again we'll trigger some showers, some of them heavy, potentially thundery. But those temperatures are on the rise, as they will be on Tuesday as well. But still, it's unsettled. Plenty of showers, some longer spells of rain, heavy at times, with that ongoing risk of thunder driven in on brisk winds. So it's warming up, but it's staying unsettled. Graham.
Right, can't have it all. Gillian, thank you very much. And that's it for tonight. Join us for the weekend, 7 across Saturday and Sunday. From all of us, enjoy your weekend. Have a great time. Bye-bye.